Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Kerwin Ray, and today we talk with the gorgeous Katie Stevens. Now, what's interesting about Katie is she's never actually worked for another human being in her life. Doesn't mean that she has never worked. She's just never had a job. And after winning the WBFF World Championships in 2015, this young beauty appeared on the cover of Women's Health magazine and Oxygen magazine whilst exiting a six-figure modeling career at the age of just only 24. Katie quickly moved to build her personal brand as an influencer and a speaker, and the founder of 24 Karat Gold Eye Mask and the Weber companies, including ladies networking event, Minding Her Business. And in this episode, Katie teaches me her secrets to success after success and how she grew her personal brand. For those of you looking to build in the influencer space, social space, you're going to enjoy this. Check it out. Katie Stevens. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honour and pleasure to welcome to Unstoppable today. We have Katie Stevens, the gorgeous Katie Stevens. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And you're a pro.
A pro. WBFF Pro, are we talking? Or?
Yeah, we better contextualise that just to make sure we don't get out of sorts. But yeah, you, when I was reading through your profile this morning, I was like, wow. Like that seems to be the word of the day when I was reading all about you. But for those people who don't know about Katie, why don't you just give us the 30-second rundown on who Katie is?
30 seconds.
Can you do it in 30 seconds?
30 seconds. Okay, I can talk really, really fast.
All right, I'll give you 45. I said that to a dude this morning. I said, can you give us like the 15-second rundown on what you do? 20 minutes later, he goes, I don't think I answered this right, did I?
Oh, wow. Okay,
That's fine.
I'll keep it short, sharp and brief. Yeah, so I mean, I guess what we were just talking about a couple of minutes ago is WBFF. I have a bit of a background in health and fitness, still do. And it's one of those things that it's just once it's inbred in you, and I grew up actually with my parents.
Inbred in you?
Inbred?
Yeah, I think you didn't mean it that way. Bred within you.
Inbred?
Yeah,
okay,
inbred.
Thanks, yeah. Let's speak English today.
Yeah.
Timmy, can we cut that bit too?
No, leave that bit in.
Bred within you. And growing up at a young age, I'm from Victoria, country Victoria, and my parents owned a gym. So I think health, fitness, wellness, it's always sort of been spun within me.
Yeah,
I've
right.
always had those sorts of...
But you've spun that off into a range of different things. You're not just an influencer. You've also a bit of an entrepreneur. You've got a few businesses you run.
Yeah, I've never been employed.
Yeah,
actually,
right.
never been
so you're
full-time
unemployable.
employed.
And you're
maybe I'm
actually, just so everyone knows, she was applying for a job about 10 minutes ago.
I'd still consider it. I've never been full-time employed by anyone.
Wow,
the whole entrepreneur world, or the word itself, is thrown around quite loosely nowadays. Yep. But I guess I wouldn't say I fell into having businesses, but I definitely have always sort of lived within...
You're the director of Minding Her Business. You've got Pure Skin and Visual Beauty Australia. So tell us about these businesses, just in a nutshell. So Minding Her Business. Mm-hmm. That's a networking event.
It is,
for
yeah.
women?
Women's networking event that's actually split, and now we've got Minding Their Business, which is for men and women as well, because we can't leave the guys out.
Well, you know what? It was sounding a little sexist, but we'll let that one slide.
Minding Her Business is a networking event group that we launched in 2017.
Yep.
A little bit by accident, I would say, because it was just from a past business that I had. I had a modelling agency for 6 years.
Yeah, right.
So I was constantly connecting business owners to brands, to, I guess they weren't called influencers back in the day, but promotional models.
Yep.
And I found myself saying, you know what, I've sold the business, but I'm still connecting everyone. I'm just going to host like a small one-off event and maybe turn that into an online business or something. And I feel like it just turned into one of those events that everyone was like, when's the next one?
Yeah, right.
It's very different to any other networking event that I sort of had been to before. And selfishly, when I was 19, I had my modelling agency. So I was going to all these networking events, and I just felt like I was a little out of place. I was always the youngest in the room, whether I went to these networking events and they're the traditional alternate drop plate, sit at a round table, listen to the guest speakers, how they launched businesses back in the 1990s. I'm like, I was born in 1990.
Shut up.
So I just felt...
tell you about my competition. Now I just feel like more like a dick. I was just telling her the years I was competing. She was 2 when I first started competing, maybe 1.
God. So yeah, that's where Minding Her Business sort of come about.
Right.
Pure Skin's a natural skincare company. So,
okay.
Having...
So you formulated that yourself?
It's a company that my sister and my mum actually own as well. Right. So it's a little family business.
Good for you.
I know they say don't do business with family.
I get a sense you're a bit of a family girl.
Massively.
Yeah, right.
Family's everything.
You got how many brothers and sisters?
I've only got one sister.
One sister?
But 70-something cousins.
Holy wow. So mum and dad didn't breed as well as
just
auntie
2.
and uncles?
I think they had me and they were like, we're done. I'm the youngest. So my older sister and then me. But our family's huge. So I've always been around children and whatnot growing up.
No kids yet yourself?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Definitely on the cards.
It's on the
Trying
cards?
to work out where I can fit it in.
Just the logistics is a bit of an issue. Yeah. And then you've got Visual Beauty Australia. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Visual Beauty Australia, that's basically focused on cosmetic tattooing, which is like enhancing your natural appearance, I suppose.
She says as she looks at me and thinking, he hasn't got a fucking clue what that means.
Your brows are fine.
I've read Cleo magazine. Actually, I do have a throwaway. I could see it earlier. Anyway, let's not go there. So how did you get into that?
Funny story, I actually started in beauty way before I had my modelling agency. So I was 18 and I actually worked under my sister and did my certs there. So I've always had a passion for beauty. It's always been in the family. My mum and sister actually had a wholesale beauty business. So I was always learning more and more about beauty. And separately, a opportunity come along when I had the agency, and a company that formulated and basically white labelled skincare approached me and said, look, we've got this amazing product. We've done 25 years of research. I looked at all the numbers, the ingredients of product, genuinely loved it. And that would have been 2012 or 13. And so I just did my own labelling and then I started selling it. Unfortunately, he actually passed away, so I couldn't get any more product.
Oh, no.
Their company dissolved, and that was really it. So I just kept running the race, having my agency, and it wasn't until I sold that at the end of 2014 that I obviously launched my visual beauty company, specialising in the cosmetic tattooing. And my sister has always had a passion. She's got her own beauty salon, and she's always had a passion for skincare, education, and that side of it. So she, if I'm honest, has done all the research and back end, and then I'm lucky enough to have the marketing sort of understanding, moving in the influencer world. So partial, it just works out well.
So you're kind of a big deal, let's be honest. But where does it get out? Where did it all begin? So you grew up in rural Victoria.
Yeah, Mildura. I was born in Mildura.
Mildura.
Mildy.
Moldy Mildura.
I had to say it like that.
Isn't that where that's where the oranges are growing? Is that right, Mildura? Yeah, right. Lots of oranges.
Lots of oranges. Murray River. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you grew up with your parents have a gym, and so I imagine you would have probably started training at the age of 6 months.
Yeah, I was probably maybe 3 or 4 when they bought and fit out the gym. So I was
Is it still in the family?
Well, we've all moved up to Queensland now. So all in Queensland. We
Everybody in the car. It's like Lampoon's national aim.
My parents are actually quite disruptive. They moved us around a lot growing up. So I think we went to 6 primary schools. Many friends have asked if my parents were on the run. They weren't. Just to clarify. They bought and sold a lot of businesses.
Well, they haven't been caught yet.
They haven't been caught. So innocent until proven guilty.
So they bought and sold businesses?
Yeah.
What types of businesses did they buy and sell?
The gym.
Yep.
Everything from dad's had carpet cleaning businesses, mum's had wholesale beauty businesses, travel agencies.
So is dad a bit of a brick as well? Is he a bit buff?
Oh, he likes to lift.
He likes to lift.
His little gym set up at home, and
so he's got guns and guns.
He's about 6'1".
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I didn't get all his height, and my mum was like 5 foot. I say 5 foot nothing and she gets offended. So 5'4", 5 foot.
That's not nothing. Those 4 inches count. Let me tell you. I'm 5'10" and a half, and I get pissed off when people leave up to half. Yeah, half an inch counts.
Yeah,
that came out so wrong.
That did come out so wrong. But yeah, size matters. No,
at least we got a snort. We got a snort on. We got recorded a snort.
This is just the beginning.
I know, right? We've still got a long way to go. Okay, so it sounds like you grew up in quite an entrepreneurial family.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. When you're growing up, you just run the race, and, we sat down after whatever it was, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and mum and dad were like, you know what, how would you like to move to Salamander Bay or Ballarat? And we moved to all these crazy places. So I guess from a young age, I was always taken out of the comfort zone, if you want to call it, and thrown into, okay, here we go again, new uniform, new school, new people.
Wow.
So I think
it's nice to talk to someone who can relate, because I think I ended up going to, over the course of primary and high school, I think it was like 12 different schools.
Wow.
So I get it. Like as soon as you said new school, new uniform, new friends, it's like, yeah, that took me down memory lane. So how was that for you? Was that something as a child you enjoyed, you embraced, or was it?
At the time, I'm the younger sibling, so I'm like, Dad's super enthusiastic. A little bit of my personality comes from him, and Dad's like, how good would this be? Imagine this, look at this, go to the beach every day, whatever his pitch was to get us to move.
Fully NLP, his
and
child.
I'm like, whatever, yes, Dad, yes, this is going to be great. And my sister sort of got to that age, I reckon she would have been maybe 12, 13, and she did do we have to move again, Mum? Like, I've just got friends. So I kind of look at her, I'm like, I've got to copy what she does. Like, I'm learning from her, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to move either. So I would say it probably got a little bit hard right around late primary school.
So puberty.
Yeah, if you want to call it. Yeah, it must have been a little bit more emotional about things, a little bit more connected.
I was about 15 when we'd moved, because we moved from Canberra to Townsville, and then I was about 15 when moving from Townsville to Brisbane, and that was the first time I was like, no, fuck it, I don't want to move anymore.
Yeah,
I want to stay here.
I actually just did see about Townsville and everything going up there, and you post for that.
Yes.
So you're from Townsville?
I consider myself quite a Townsville boy, actually. I did a lot of my growing
up.
Got beat up for the first time on my first day of school in Townsville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh,
thanks, Jack.
One of the sailors, actually, but anyway, we won't go there. So, okay, so when did you start your first business? Was that the modelling agency?
Could we talk about like the conceptual very first business in my head?
It can't. Okay, please.
That was picking flowers.
For real? Conceptual? Did you actually execute?
I did.
Really?
I went home. I was like, Mum, if they're bigger flowers, like they're worth more. So definitely 10 cents a bunch, 5 cents for the smaller ones. I'd borrow a bit of Mum's aluminum foil, wrap them around the edges, like put them in the basket and just.
Does anyone say aluminum anymore? I thought it was aluminium.
Aluminium. I've got that. That's an American thing. Alfoil.
There we go.
Yeah, and it was actually really good. Like I was raking it. I was probably making 20 cents. Like it was a good business.
Killing it.
And then I knocked on the owner's door of where I sold the flowers.
And it's like, I recognise those.
Her bush was like gone. At
Oh
the
my
front,
God.
And I was at that business closed like
Quick
straight
smart.
away. I was all of 5 years old. I was
20
actually
cents to my name.
disappointed. Yeah.
All spent on legals. Yeah, right.
No, but my very first business, which I would say very small business, I just moved from Brisbane to the Gold Coast.
Right.
And I needed a job. And you don't
like being told what to do.
I don't like being told what to do. I couldn't commit to a 9 to 5. And so I launched a Gold Coast sunless mobile spray tanning business. I'm like, it's not going to cost me much money. I love beauty. I've been trained in spray tans. Know where to get the solution. My sister.
Had you been competing at this point?
Not yet, no.
Right.
I was only 18.
Okay.
So it was back in 2008, and so I printed out all these flyers and I went to the local shopping centre, which I didn't know was illegal at the time, and I put them on all the front like windscreens of the cars.
You are a rebel.
And I was like, if I put out this many, then I'm going to get this many clients. It was ridiculous. The turn. Like,
did it work?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, right.
20,000 flyers, 2 clients. No, it wasn't that bad. It was a lot of work. And it was enough to get me going. It was enough to then, I started a promotional modelling agency. I did a bit of promo work myself and I was like, I can do this better.
Yeah, right.
I've got friends. They'll work for me.
For free?
For free? Can you please? Yes.
Drinks only, yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll show you at the bar after, girls. Can you help me out? And so I launched Pure Model Management.
Okay.
And then one of my competitors, Aurora in Brisbane, were selling. So I actually dug into my savings and took a massive risk. I was about 19 and actually bought the company and merged the two. So I ran with that for 6 years and built it up.
Wow. So this actually sounds, honestly, because when I was reading this plan, 19 and a modelling agency, her and her friends.
Yeah.
No, you were
in
like
the
legit.
No, it was a real deal.
Yeah,
we were
impressive.
nationwide. We had 1,500 models on the books.
Wow.
We had team leaders all over it, hence why I got to go to Townsville all the time. Actually, Townsville was huge up there.
Yeah, it's massive. You should see it. There's at least one palm tree. Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Castle Hill.
Castle Hill.
Yeah.
It's a hill.
It's a hill.
It's the only one.
The goats track.
Yeah.
Well, actually, obviously, being that predominantly there's a lot of males up there, works well for our alcohol brands to do alcohol promotions.
Of course, right. So was that what you specialised in? It was mainly promotional modelling?
A lot of promotional work.
Yep.
Yeah, we did the odd catwalk and we sent a few of our high-end models over like contractually with mother agencies to Italy and whatnot for like 6 month stints.
Yeah, wow.
But we did a lot of promotional work, a lot of expos. Like one of our big clients was L'Oreal, so we did a lot of their hair shows, the expos at Gold Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne. They were actually, to be honest, they were the big money makers because if you could secure like a big golf day or a corporate client that did all these sorts of events, you're working big numbers where you can have 20 models on the floor opposed to your one-off events. So we worked really hard with those brands. We had Foster's or CUB.
Yep.
They were one of our biggest clients as well. And it was good fun, good
and
times.
So then you exited that business.
Not much sleep, but good times.
Yeah, not much sleep, lots of alcohol. And then you sold out.
Yes.
You sold the business?
I did. I sold the business and exited in November 2014.
Okay.
So I just I had this moment, and I actually remember this moment exactly where I was. And I thought, if I ever get up, because I actually was room sharing at the time, and I had a couple of girls living with me, and they had government jobs, and they were up every day, you know, and they always come back home and they would whinge about their job, whinge about their boss. And I thought to myself, if I ever have that waking moment where I don't want to go to work, I'm selling the business. And I had that moment right at the time I really started getting into competing, because that was the gym was just like my newfound passion again.
Okay.
I was just heavily involved. I was counting macros. I was weighing my food. It was just like this super hobby that I was like, as a result of what I was doing, I was feeling better about myself.
I can't think about your shooters right now. I need to weigh my chicken, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, right. Literally, yeah. 150 grams of basmati, yeah.
Yeah, right. Basmati.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're making all wrong. All mistakes are made in the carbs. You're eating basmati rice.
Yeah, what did you use? Sweet potato?
Oh, sweet potato, brown rice.
Yeah, brown rice. Yeah. I mixed it up.
Okay.
It's monotonous.
White
it's the
carbs.
Same, so.
They're the devil. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
they were made
horrible.
by evil people to do evil things to really nice people. It's addictive. So you sold out, then what happened? You took some time off to compete, did you?
Well, I actually made world titles. So when I started, my very first show was May 2014. So it was that year. And that's really where things, I guess, digress. Like from the, you know, sleeping on the couch at work, working through the night. I never stopped. I would go to family events and I'd be constantly on my phone. I'd have people working all over the place. And my mum was always like, you're present, but you're not present. You're never here. She doesn't sound like that. You're never here. No, she doesn't. But I genuinely, it was a bit of a wake up call, because I was like, you know, I've got cousins, the babies that are being born, I've got, you know, and I'm feeling stressed. I literally was just on my phone trying to pretend I was present, thinking about other things.
Yeah, right.
And it was just a build up. So when I started competing, I jumped on stage in May, and I was lucky enough, fortunate enough, or earned it, whatever.
You
I got
earned
first
the fucking
place.
right.
I won
Sorry,
it.
Mum. You won
So
it.
I won in May, and I was like, oh, that was fun. Like, I'm going to do that again. And so as most people that compete do, they get the little addiction.
Addictive,
It
yeah.
is. I don't know how you explain that to other people that haven't competed, but it was the thing. So I went through the process again. I did all my back-to-back comps, and then I was invited to represent Australia and compete at Worlds in Vegas.
Right.
That was in the November. So literally the day I sold my business, I flew out the next day to
Wow.
the States. So that was my,
Literally,
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm out of here.
And then I was dieting. I couldn't even like celebrate. I was like, everyone's like, you've sold your first, like, this is, you know, amazing. Let's celebrate. I'm like, water.
Yeah. You could have just like sniffed
And
a
brown
Tim Tam.
rice.
That's what I used to do. I'd smell things and I'd like sit there and like then just salivate, and it was just mental torture.
Close your eyes and pretend you're actually eating it.
So during this time, like I can only imagine, it must have been a pretty challenging time. You're trying to compete, you're trying to run a business, you're selling a business at the same time, which has all of its own, you know, set of challenges in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
During this time, have any other tragedies happened? Like, have you had to deal with anything that's really kind of set you back?
Setbacks, I think, without thinking at pinpoint times, I have had setbacks along the way. I've never had something so disruptive that my life's fallen apart, but
Yep.
I've gone through relationship breakups. I mean, that was at the same time. It
Wow.
was everything at the same time. And I remember how I felt, but publicly, I didn't have time to be able to actually
Be
do the
emotional.
whole
Yeah.
get the bucket of ice cream, sit on the couch and feel sorry for myself. I had
would have been
clients,
sick.
and you know, it's funny because I was really young at the time. I was 19 to 24 when I had the business, and I was sitting in front of, like, you know, big corporate clients in their mid-40s, and I'm pitching this idea to get a couple $100,000 contract.
She just pointed at me when she said mid-40s. Did you see? That was really fucking rude. Just saying.
Sorry. I would just
Well,
start
we're
talking
going to have
with
so
my
much
hands.
fun in edit. Like, we're going to make you look really bad.
And I remember, actually, it's funny because now I keep in contact with these clients, and I laugh because I say, if you knew that I was 19, would you have given me? And absolutely not. They would not have given me these big contracts. So when I had all that emotional baggage or these, you know, times in my life, I couldn't afford to, like, it would have cost me my business if I had have sort of went and been like, so guys, I'm going through a breakup, but, you know, we can provide to you.
Yeah. So you sold out, you started to compete, then what happened? What was the next adventure?
So I had a little bit of a break. I think that's really when I discovered personal development when I was over in the States. I jumped off stage. I was on my own. The initial plans were, you know, to travel with your partner and have downtime, which it turned out to be on my own.
Oh, because you just broke up.
Yeah. So it was actually a really cool time that I feel like I'm blessed to have had that time on my own, because I really went outside of my comfort zone and I mean, this sounds silly, but I had myself a list. I'm like, I'm going to do these things on my own. I'm going to go to a restaurant and dine for one. I'm going to go to the cinema and that sounds weird, but it's
That's
one of those
Saturday
things.
night for me. Let's be honest.
But at that age, you walk in and restaurant owners, table for two. I'm like, look behind my back and I'm like,
Milko, Milko.
You want to join, Johnny? No, but I was on my own. So that's sort of where I felt like I had a bit of a shift. I'd already worked out that I was going to start Visual Beauty. So I'd done all the back end legalities of that. That was just sitting there. And then, of course, lucky for social media, I actually started, building that sort of business on social media. And fortunately enough, I would confidently say that Visual Beauty has really been built and minding her business through social media.
Yeah, right.
My all my friendlies, or I guess competitors on the stage at the time, became my best clients for Visual Beauty. So they were my first clients. I was like, hey girl, you lift at the gym, you don't want makeup on, let me tattoo your brows. And that's where I built the business. So yeah, that's sort of how that worked. And that happened basically as soon as I returned in January 2015. So
is that right?
We're going on 4 years now.
And then how long after did you do Pure Skin and then minding her business?
Pure Skin, Pure Skin and minding her business, without even thinking about it, I registered both business names within like a couple of weeks of each other.
Wow. ADD?
Yeah,
no?
I don't know. It may be self-diagnosed. People say in like casual conversations, have you heard of like ADD, AD? What is it? ADHD? Anyway, I don't even know what it is.
I think that's the first thing. Can you spell ADHD? AD, what?
Yeah.
Tick.
Yeah, so I just had this idea, and it come from competing again because the Pure Skin's first product was, I guess, a little visualization or experience I had in Vegas, and I got given this little first aid pack from competing, and it had these little eye patches underneath, and it was, these will hydrate your dark eyes and your drawn face for when you're on stage. And it had like no branding. I couldn't ever find them again, and I remember going, they kind of worked. So I actually pitched the business idea to a good friend of mine that already had a business, beauty business, and he's like, yeah, absolutely. But then nothing come of it. And I sort of left it for almost 12 months. I thought, you know what, I'm still thinking about it. I still want to do it. Did a lot of research, went into the R&D phase, looked at the product, sampled things, changed things, looked at ingredients, made sure it aligned with what I wanted and that they actually worked. And then I thought, I'll start by selling them to my friends, as you do in your friendlies, and you hand them out to people at the gym. And I had really good feedback, especially for people that were competing. And I knew that they couldn't get them in Australia. So I got 24 karat gold eye masks, and I literally put them on everywhere I went. If I was on the plane, if I was like, everywhere I went to the hair salon.
24 karat gold eye mask?
Yeah, it covered my eyes. I couldn't see anything, no. You're sitting there covering your eyes like it's this big eye patch thing. They go underneath your eyes.
Oh, but they got gold in them.
Yeah. Yes.
Legit.
Yeah.
Wow, you are like pimp rolling.
So, yeah. Well, they stand out, and it makes people ask. Like I sat on flights, and people would be like, or even the flight attendants, oh, what are they that you've got on? I'm like, they're hydrating, they're plumping, they're firming.
Yeah,
you need
right.
some.
What do I, and you just walk around with
Look,
them
I've
on.
got my FPOS machine here for just 30. No, I'm not joking. It did cross my mind, but I definitely didn't.
I'm impressed. That doesn't scare me. That actually excites me. And okay, and then minding her business that popped up next.
Yeah, so minding her business was just a combination of, like I sort of mentioned before and we're chatting about, was constantly networking people or connecting people. And I sort of...
Because you seem quite personable. I'm going to take a guess here, and I could be completely wrong. I don't think you're full extrovert, but you're definitely not full introvert. Are you a bit of an ambivert?
Oh, I've never heard of an ambivert.
Oh, let me teach you. Okay, so an extrovert is someone who gets juiced up when they're around people. They love being around people. That's what fills up their cup.
Definitely.
Introvert is someone who likes to be isolated. They like to be by themselves. They like to spend time by themselves, and they're pretty isolated.
Yeah.
An ambivert is someone who needs both. They like being around people, and they get their cup filled up by being around people, but they also need every now and then to spend a bit of time by themselves, just to have a little bit of solitude.
Yeah, I would say that...
You're extrovert, aren't you?
Growing up, I would want to say I get anxiety, but I didn't enjoy my own company.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't because I had issues within myself. It was because I had FOMO that I'm aware of. Mum actually taught me about JOMO. That's my 2019 joy of missing out. I'm still learning.
JOMO.
Yeah, apparently it's a thing.
Let's make it a thing. Let's make that
I'm
cool.
so much more productive when I have JOMO, because I'm someone that would go 4 events in one day. Yeah, I reckon I could do some changes in the car along the way and make all of them.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, poor Conrad, my partner. It's like, oh, can we have to just slow down? Yeah.
That's actually a good question. So how, with everything that you've done and everything you've got going on, how do you manage a relationship?
We're actually a really good fit. We're very independent, and I don't think that, cliche saying, but I don't think I could be with someone that's super controlling or just
needy.
Yeah, needy.
clingy.
There you go. I'm giving like hand symbols here and you're finishing my sentences.
For those of you listening, she's doing great hand signals.
But yeah, he's got actually 2 businesses of his own.
Wow.
And then I've sort of got the banner of 4, and it works well. He's very sociable. He's pretty much, I guess we're yin and yang, but he definitely is very good on his own. I travel a lot. It works.
And so you haven't talked about many challenges in your life, but you seem like someone who's got enormous levels of discipline. So I'm curious to know if you have had challenges that other people might perceive as challenges, but you've just got such a high level of discipline that you just seem to roll over them like they're nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of it actually comes from my upbringing, and I used to get really stressed about and think of these big issues and what could happen, what might happen, what happens if I fail, all these little things. And funny story, but going over the Story Bridge in Brisbane and going underneath this next bridge, there's this big plastered quote, and it says, the more you think about it, the bigger it gets. And I remember just thinking about it, and I had all these little, all these, I guess, obstacles, maybe not like big turning points of where I've like crumbled, but obstacles that I really had to overcome. And my parents are literally like opposite. Mum's like, too much risk, get comfortable, go get a degree. I started studying Bachelor of Education and all this sort of stuff because that was just what worked. And it was always not a guilty till proven innocent, but I definitely had to, if I wanted to pitch an idea that I wanted to do to my mum, I had to have like documents. I had to have everything on paper, goal setting, everything to justify it. Dad, if you don't take a chance, you don't stand a chance. Go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Literally opposite.
Wow.
I always went with Dad's idea.
Of course. Less friction.
Yeah. Like, Mum, Dad said I could.
Pitch Dad first.
But along the way, I think it's something that I have obstacles and issues and things that I need to overcome every single week. But attitude and mindset is everything. And I'm still growing that. I'm still learning that along the way. But there have been points where I've had to pivot quickly, or I've had to learn to go a different route, or to just run full steam ahead, knowing that I was probably going to break a few things along the way, but it was going to be worth it.
So
in line with morals and integrity and everything.
Of course, everything's within a moral compass for the individual who's navigating. Biggest lessons in business so far?
Biggest lessons in business is the times that I waited, the times that I thought about it and essentially held back are the times I had regret. I wish that I started sooner. I know I'm young, I know I start and I hear that every day, but the minding her business concept I spoke about 12 months before.
Yeah, right.
Pure Skin, there is a lot of brands in that competitive space now. Pure Skin, Eye Masks have now gone on to be a portfolio of 9 products. So we've got natural skincare in the range as well. We are not the only skincare. I'm not the only women's networking events group. Definitely not the only cosmetic tattoo clinic. In fact, I think I've got 8, if you want to call them competitors or other clinics within 3-kilometer radius of me. So it's something that, thanks to social media, you can, pop up a business overnight, right? You have an idea. Just pick a name and, whether people do it, through the legalities as well. But I think the biggest lesson for myself is, and that sort of moving forward is something that I'm always trying to think, why wouldn't I do it now? If there's something that pops up in my head, if there's an idea for minding her business, we're in the works of some massive things, and I'm lucky I've got a really good team now, which culture and to be able to actually create these ideas or bring them to life is everything. But holding back in those times can be imperative, because 12 months, especially on social media, can change everything. Yeah.
Best advice you've ever received?
Best advice.
Dad, if you don't take a chance, you don't stand a chance.
Pretty much. Thanks, Dad.
I like you, Dad.
Probably one of those, it all is in sync with just taking a chance and worrying about everything later. I think the best advice is to make sure my ducks are lined up, to make sure I've got financial backing, but just not to hold back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not to hold back. I'm always, my partner's father said this, you're given 2 ears and 1 mouth and you should use it in that ratio. Yes. And I always feel that growing up, maybe #ADD, I don't know, but I was always the one that was energetic and talking and questioning things and I'm still kind of like that. But I feel that I need to, and I do listen more, because I learn so much more when I listen, obviously.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's something that is imperative, and whether it's something that I've learned from someone, but I definitely try and teach to other people.
It's a great strategy, unless you're on a podcast.
Of course, I'm just like...
We need you to, otherwise we've got no content.
I'll just sit here and listen.
So what's next for you? Like, clearly you've got, the world at your feet. You're clearly a very talented entrepreneur, a very talented fitness professional. There's so many directions you could go in. What next for you?
I think I have so many plans for things going on this year. I've got different areas of where I'm going to grow Minding Her Business. That's definitely my focus. I think being in the networking space, it's not just another networking event. It's so different to any other event out there. If you want to call it highly Instagrammable. But I feel that we've really just disrupted the traditional networking events. It's no swapping of a business card. It's a reason to be able to dress up, feel good about yourself. And our guest speakers are people that are in the now. It's not someone that has been hugely successful in the 1980s and, monetized or cashed in, if you want to call it, back then, and now tell their story. It's people that are literally still in the process of growth.
Yeah, nice.
And I think that's really cool because we have a lot of startups. 80-90% of our guests and attendees are people that have startup businesses or a side hustle and still trying to work out a way to be able to get out of their corporate job. So for me, the next 12 months is really planning MHB. We're jumping into international waters. We're taking it to Bali. We're going to do like a summit style, so a little bit different to the large 200 people event, which is exciting. And everything just slow and steady, but we've got some really cool things in place.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So where can we find out more about you? You've got that many different places we can send them. Where do we want to send them?
Yeah, I think even just working with brands and my personal brand, Katie Stevens, that's something I've sort of, I can't call it a business. Having a following on social media is really hard to say, I've got this business, it's called Miss Katie Stevens, but I genuinely, I make income from it. So it's another income stream where I can work with brands and then flow them over to Minding Her Business. So the two main touch points is really Minding Her Business, the events group.
So that's minding.her.business, Instagram, Facebook, and the website.
Yeah, that's right.
But also Pure Skin. You've got Instagram pure_skin.
Yes, skin double N.
Skin double N, because there is more N's in skin. And Facebook for Pure Skin is Pure Skin double NAU. And then Visual Beauty is Visual Beauty Australia on Instagram. And same again on Facebook, as well as a website. You're so fancy.
I don't feel fancy.
So what about a book? Have you got a book coming?
You know what, Kerwin? It's on the list.
Yeah, I keep fucking saying that too. People ask me like 20 years, you got a book? Yeah, it's fucking, literally, it is on our list, but it's just...
I think we live in a world now that there is so much that we can... There's so much at our fingertips. And if you don't know how, you can either Google it or find a way or speak to someone that can teach you.
Can I give you a tip?
Yes.
You need to do do you have your own podcast?
I don't.
You should. You got the personality for
podcast.
it. Yeah.
What about my tone?
You got the chops. You got vocal variety. You're funny. You've got energy. I would absolutely do a podcast.
But would I do it in French or would I do it in English?
I would do it in Fringlish. That was a little bit freaky. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Katie Stevens. This is Unstoppable, and you have been amazing. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me, Kerwin.
Pleasure.
It's been awesome.
There you have it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Unstoppable with me, your host, Kerwin Ray. And do me a favor, don't forget to drop me a review on iTunes. Would love to hear what you think. I love reading what you guys have to say. And your reviews make sure we keep creating killer content just like this. If you want to stay up to date with me and all my movements, please jump onto the website, kerwinray.com. And also check us out on social media at Kerwin Ray.